Hello and welcome to another Geek Dhaba review. Today we're going to be taking on Battlebots, this year's tournament. And I bullied Amr into watching this. This is his first time watching Battlebots. And as an engineering student, I feel that his input is very much needed for this. This tournament, I think, was interesting. Maybe not as good as previous years, but still pretty good. Amr, your thoughts?
All right. Well, before I'm just going to correct you on one thing. I may be an engineering student, but I have no idea of how to fill in this. Yes, we do have battle bots in Pakistan. Not the desi kind, I mean like actual proper ones. If you go to universities, events, tournaments hote rehte hain. They don't happen as much now. Maybe because it's expensive, but
It is expensive.
I've seen it is expensive, but I will never forget a proper arena set up in a futsal court once in my university. Very good stuff. But this is the real deal. This is the professional stuff. I've seen it on AXN here and there, but then you were like, watch it, Amir, and I'm like, okay, you know what? I'll give it a try.
Yeah.
So first thing that I have to reprimand Mubarak is the thing that I had to listen to throughout the entire episode. I only watched the last episode with the quarters to finals, so I will never get over the commentator saying the giant nut again and again. I'm not even exaggerating. This is exactly how he would say it, the way he would phrase the word. He would always pause. The giant nut. His mouth would move like this as well. It was very difficult to not ignore that. But yeah, the tournament was really interesting. We'll go through the fights one by one. One thing I have to mention, my favorite thing about this entire tournament was Farouk.
Oh yeah.
The announcer who would call in the teams, his name was Abdul Farouk, I think his
No,
full
Farooq
name was.
Tohid.
Oh yeah, Farouk Toheed. And every time he would announce a team into the ring, he would rhyme. He would introduce them with a rhyme. And oh my God, were his rhymes fire? I can only encourage you to go listen to them yourself.
Yeah.
They were so good that when he introduced the teams for the finals, that is when he went like all in. He spent almost a minute, 30 seconds. It was long. 30 seconds is long. He spent 30 seconds just introducing each team. Each team, 30 seconds. And at the end of his introduction for one team, the commentator was just like, you know what? We should just give Farouk the giant nut just for saying that. And I was like, yes, give it to him right now. Because Farouk really, really made me enjoy this show more than anything else.
Definitely.
But yeah, like the show was pretty, this tournament, especially these last fights, were pretty hot. Not all of them. There were some blowouts, total blowouts. But there are two fights which were really good. Mubarak, let's start going through all the
before we
quarters.
get into the tournament fights, the finales, and all that. This overall the season, pretty decent, really good fights. There were some fights that were so amazing, but unfortunately those teams never made it to the tournaments. Well, better luck next time. You keep coming back each year. We hope to see you next time in the tournament, because that's each year it's something interesting, and we're always getting new stuff coming in, people going out. Rookies made it to the finale this year, which is pretty amazing, But let's move on. Let's go fight by fight real quick, and then we talk about the big event.
Yeah.
First fight. Riptide versus
Sawblaze
Sawblaze.
versus
Yes.
I just wrote two words in my notes. So anticlimactic. Because it was the first fight for me, the first Battlebot fight. I'm getting hyped up, they're building it up, and Farouk didn't play no short role in that.
Mm-hmm.
And the fight happens, and I felt so bad for Riptide
Yeah, but here's the thing about
because
Battlebots. It's not just about skill, it's also about luck. You only need to be unlucky
yeah,
once and that's it. The fight is over.
yeah,
Yeah.
that was very unlucky for the. And he was the Riptide's creator, the team. They were
Yeah.
the rookie team,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah, they were.
And
If I recall
Sawblaze's team
correctly,
is very experienced, very good driver on that side, very calculated strikes,
Mm.
not sloppy and all that.
Although I will say this fight in particular,
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't a skill based win,
Yeah,
at
I
least in my
guess. I
opinion.
guess. I
It
guess.
just Riptide got lucky, got stuck on his side, and there is no way he can flip back
Yeah.
that way because you can only flip back, forward, or backward over. But yeah,
And then
moving on.
and fights like this, well, you
Uh-huh.
have to understand that now you're in the finale. You can't take a risk with your robot. So Sawblaze holding back and letting that guy get counted out, that's a totally acceptable move. Had this been the pre-tournament matchups, the Sawblaze totally would have let him out. Because at that point you're just having fun, it's pre-tournament. But then when the tournament, you can't play anymore. Now it's all business. Moving on to the next
Yeah,
fight, we have Cobalt versus Tantrum.
yeah.
Give me your thoughts on this because as a non-watcher of this show, this was your first time. I want to know your thoughts of this because for me, I've watched 6 seasons
Okay, so
plus. So for me, I
like,
know
my
what I have to say.
second Battlebot fight,
Yeah.
all right. I watched this, and the way I interpreted it, one robot is he has a weapon in the front, which is this giant grinder. And apparently, according to the commentators, I didn't watch the previous fights or anything.
Mm-hmm.
And according to them, at least, Cobalt relies on its frontal attack.
Yes.
That means Tantrum has to play around that.
Mm-hmm.
And they do that. That was their strategy going in, and they executed perfectly. They do take a couple of hits here and there, but they manage to avoid the main grinder on
Front.
Cobalt.
Yes.
Yeah, Cobalt's front. They themselves have a grinder of their own. Their grinder is very unique. It can retract backwards into the robot because whenever two metal objects, especially the grinders, when they interact, physics comes into play. There is something called, Newton's third law. If you stop a spinning object from grab it like this, the entire body tends to because the force goes into the body.
Yeah.
That's why helicopters have a tail rotor, by the way. They had this design in which their grinder could retract, and as a technical inspection, I'd say that was a very good design strategy. They could pull it back until they needed it to do damage. If they had the enemy bot in there, they would drive the grinder forward, chip away at the enemy,
Mm-hmm.
deal some damage, and pull it back without suffering the consequences of it getting stuck on the enemy bot and then them being flipped over or suffering any other. A lot of other bots I saw in this tournament, they did suffer that.
Mm.
But Tantrum's design, this is one design which I liked about them. And they played a strategy which they needed to play. They couldn't take Cobalt from the front. They maneuvered around him, chipped away at it, and until they got an opportunity where they got underneath Cobalt. And then they, I think, hit it from the underside, pinned it against the wall. And if I'm not mistaken, this is the fight in which Cobalt goes flying out. So they had a strategy, they had a design, they knew their strengths and the enemy's strengths. They exploited the enemy's weakness, which is they attacked it from the side where the enemy was defenseless. Very good fight, very good maneuvers. They deserve that win.
Definitely. Now, here's the thing. I've been watching this for 6 seasons. The most exciting fights always end up with people getting thrown out of the ring because there's no coming back from that. That's like when I saw him come on, I'm like, yes. And that's the same reaction Cobalt's driver had, albeit in anger. I was excited. He was angry, but it was the same reaction. And oh my god! And this season especially, they installed these guards on the side. You may have noticed the rest of the ring was all guarded, so you can't flip the bot out of that. Especially like in the Riptide versus Sawblaze, he was stuck on the newer guards. In previous seasons, all of those were open, so you could get flipped out from anywhere. In this season, you can only get flipped out from one side, the entrance door. And that's it. Once you're flipped out of that, you're done. So that is lucky, and that is fantastic when that happens. It is a treat whenever a bot gets thrown out of the ring, because that's an instant KO.
Oh yeah, like I will say this fight made up for the anticlimactic end that the first fight had. I mean, all that hype, and then sudden in 5, I'm like, oh wow, how boring.
Yeah.
But then the second fight made it up. Let's move on to the third fight, which was
Hydra versus Blip.
Yep. Can I make a joke?
Go on. Go on.
So here is my note on this fight. It's the only 4 words I wrote. Poor Blip couldn't flip. Look, the poor Blip. So Hydra's weapon was interesting. No more of that, fancy grinders and flamethrowers. I don't know. People put a bunch of stuff. All they had was one weapon, and that weapon was terrifying. They could throw that robot out to the moon if they wanted.
250-pound robot. That's what, 125 kilos? Imagine throwing that in the air.
Like, oh wait, that's
heavier. That's heavier than me. I'm what, I don't know, 85, 90 maybe. That's heavier than me. So imagine like throwing a whole person up in the air.
That weapon, it's basically just one arm.
Yeah.
I really like this design as well. Like, it's just like this long arm goes underneath, and there are 2 on the side which are fixed. The long arm just whoop, out goes the robot.
Yep.
Oh my god. We will come to another fight with Hydra, but surprise, Hydra won. Poor Blip couldn't flip because they flipped him upside down. He tried flipping himself back up. His Blip's correction system, I guess, I don't know what to call it. The thing on the roof that flips the bot upright if it's like up.
Self-rider, I think it's called. I'm not sure at this point. Anyways, that part, yeah. This is Blip's first season, so it is
really.
But yeah, this is Blip's first season.
There will be improvements in the design, but I will point out that was one issue with Blip. His the correction thing was not functioning properly. It was either too strong or not. Every time he tried to flip himself back upright, he couldn't do it. I noticed all throughout the fight, robots would get flipped upside down, but they would just correct themselves in one go. Blip was unable to do that. I don't know if that was a malfunction or
probably a design flaw.
A design flaw.
Because Hydra is a pneumatic flipper, I think. Hydraulic? Wait, which is the one with the liquids? Hydraulic, yes? Hydraulic flipper. The previous not champion, but one of the very good contenders in previous seasons, which no longer participate, was a pneumatic flipper. So they had a limited number of flips because it's all air-based. Hydra is hydraulic, so it's all liquid-based. Blip is flywheel-based, which is quite interesting. I don't know that technology myself, but it is an improvement over the hydraulic system. So maybe that was why they could not adjust accordingly.
Here's the thing. It's not like the system they were using was bad. It needs tweaking, which I can understand. Since you say that this is Blip's first fight, every robot requires tweaking to each and every part that is moving. And well, I've done engineering. I even did my research on robots.
Yeah, but
robotic
Blip
arms.
got this far. Blip made it to the quarterfinals.
Exactly. It's not like I'm saying that this is a problem and the Blip was fine. It's just, like you said, unlucky.
Unlucky.
So, yeah.
Moving on.
Anyways, moving on.
We have a controversial fight. Witch Doctor versus Minotaur.
I will point
fight.
out,
Yes.
this is one of my favorite fights. You know what? I can't decide between the two. So
Mhm.
one of the two best fights in this episode. Minotaur versus Witch Doctor.
Definitely. This was a sort of dirty fight. There was a timeout in between where they got stuck and no one was moving. I feel like if the fight had ended before that, Minotaur would have won the fight because it ended after that. Witch Doctor had the advantage, coming back from that timeout and all that. So, and then it's kind of messy. It's a good fight, controversial, and I understand that you have to preserve your bot's body. You can't make unnecessary risks at this point. Still, I feel like this was a dirty fight. Also, my condolences to Daniel Freitas's mother and grandmother, who passed away sadly at the start of the season because of COVID back in Brazil. And Daniel, I don't believe he could have gone back or something. No, he went back and they died that very week. So he had to come back. It's been a tiring season for him. So my condolences to him. But despite that,
Yeah.
he drove well. This was a good, effort from his part. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
he did not win.
Yeah, pretty much my thoughts. This was a dirty fight.
Hmm.
Both bots were, you can say, evenly matched. I can sort of, I guess, point out maybe that Daniel might not have been at the top of his game, but you can't fault him over it. He had been through a very difficult time.
No, but here's the thing.
He did put up a good fight
He made it to
in
the
the
finale,
beginning.
the semifinals. So he's
Let me finish. He did put up a good fight, and it was only, unlucky things happen. He unluckily had a gyro malfunction or something. It's like when you're really gonna turn the board like
Mhm.
this or something. He had only two wheels on his board. That kind of had a hiccup, which happens, but it unluckily landed him on the spinny thingies on the side.
Yeah.
And that is where Witch Doctor took the opportunity, pushed him into it, and he got pulled into the top.
Mhm.
He took a lot of damage to his bot. While he was trying to get down, that is when Witch Doctor came in and attacked him from the side, which I'm pretty certain he took a hit on the underside.
Mhm.
Because, well, unluckily, while he was trying to get down, that is when he lost one wheel.
Yeah.
He has only two wheels on his bot.
And that
So,
that just
like you said,
yeah.
unlucky things happen. One unlucky thing happened. He gets pulled up on the top, and while trying to get down, he loses one wheel. Witch Doctor gets stuck. The refs stop the fight. They say that it's like, controversial because of that stoppage, but I guess the refs realized they needed to stop the fight because one bot was completely stuck. The other was, they could have
Stuck.
taken him, but I don't know. The refs made the decision.
All right.
After they get him out, right?
Mhm.
He had already lost one wheel and he was unable to maneuver. At that point, the second thing that really made it controversial, and I was also kind of like, I don't particularly agree with Witch Doctor with why they held back. If you are being scored for aggressiveness, right? Then the enemy bot can't maneuver anymore properly. Just try to get in and get a few hits on him. They didn't do that. It was only near the very end they land only one hit, and that was also just, hey, look, we're actually landing hits. Why not just keep landing hits? So that's why the decision was kind of weird. The judges still made the decision, which was right. In my opinion, Minotaur
Fair
did
enough.
suffer the most damage.
Fair enough.
I know I kind of went off, but then again, this is one of the major, most interesting and most controversial fights of this.
Definitely.
So yeah, I'm really sorry for Daniel for his loss. The fact that he lost the match, I felt bad for him, but I'm pretty sure he's going to be back. That was a good team.
Yeah.
That was a good ball.
Great team, and they come here every year. They're fantastic.
Every year. Yeah.
Moving on, we have Hydra versus Tantrum.
The other most favorite fight of mine. Yes, both my favorite fights were not the final one, the final we'll talk about it, but
Yeah.
Hydra versus Tantrum, the flipper bot, which would launch you into space. And then we have my favorite in this case, the team I was rooting for, Tantrum. I have a note, by the way. I just want to quickly read that note. I
Yeah.
wouldn't be surprised if Farouk's secret hobby is writing rhymes, because this is the part where it's the first semi-final, and
Yeah.
Farouk starts going overboard, and I'm like, damn, man, what's up? But about this fight, again, Tantrum relied on their strategy, which fits their bot's design philosophy very, like, in my opinion. I'm not some Battlebot expert, but they kept doing the same thing. They kept maneuvering around the enemy, which has a very dangerous weapon on the front. And every time they got an opportunity, they'd come in, and when they felt it right enough, they'd use their weapon, push it forward, chip at the enemy, and pull it back. They'll deal damage in small ticks, whereas Hydra tried to deal damage in one go. Hydra got a lot of hits, but the flip may flip you, but apparently it doesn't do a lot of damage, so to speak. I don't know what your thoughts are about that.
It was an interesting fight. I'm okay with the decision. In fact, I'm glad it's a split decision, because this fight could have gone either way. Had they had a little more time, in the 3 minutes they had, they put up a great fight. Hydra did good damage. Tantrum did good damage. But Hydra was, I guess, more damaged visibly in the eyes of the judges. Makes sense. Yeah, split decision works. Witch Doctor versus Minotaur should have been a split decision as well, but that's gone, and that's in the past now.
Yeah. Well, visibly, if you look at it, Hydra did suffer.
Yeah,
visible
especially to the
damage.
flipper, because if you make damage to your primary weapon, that's basically what.
I mean, if your weapon is gone, you're gone. But then again, I will also point out one more thing: the flipper wasn't just damaged, but it was also like stuck in a slightly upward position.
Yeah,
like I noticed this. They were unable to get the flipper thingy down, and that's also dangerous because this thing can happen.
Yep.
They kind of, I think the timer ran out for this fight.
Yes.
Because it was a long fight. Yeah, it was a long fight. But even if it had gone, I think personally that Tantrum would have gotten away with it. They would have destroyed Hydra over time, because that is the strategy they rely on. They chip away at one tiny bit at a time. So it takes them time to dismantle the enemy. But given enough time, they would do it. The only thing is, I don't think Hydra was able to deal damage to the internals, which was surprising for me. I don't know what kind of design Tantrum did, but despite being flipped multiple times, I lost count. I don't even know. And one time they just got flipped. I was like, oh shit, they're done for. But they land back, and then those tiny little arms would just set the bot upright and their back moving. I'm like, damn, that is one tough bot. I'm surprised by Tantrum's design, which is why I was rooting for them. Their bot was very interesting and surprisingly very strong. It didn't look dangerous, at least not that much as some of the other competitors, but it was tough.
Yeah, definitely. Moving on. We have Sawblaze versus Witch Doctor.
Sawblaze versus Witch Doctor. Oh my god, my brain. Why can't I remember this?
It was an all right fight.
It was a very fast fight. Unlucky getting stuck in the start. I think I remember now. I'm sorry, it's been a while and it's been a long week at work. So I watched it at the start of the week, and work week is incredible this time.
Yeah,
I think I remember. Unlucky thing happens right at the start. Sawblaze and Witch Doctor came right charging at each other. I think Sawblaze gets stuck on the map, I guess I'll call it.
Screws.
Yeah, the arena's surface. It just gets stuck on something.
Yeah,
and it kind of loses its direction.
Mhm.
So they have to stop and they have to like wiggle for just 0.5 seconds. And I think it was just that 0.5 seconds that made all the difference, because Witch Doctor was able to get on the side
Mhm.
and take a hit on Sawblaze's tire, which was for some reason unarmored. I think if Sawblaze did not get stuck,
Yeah.
they wouldn't have suffered that initial damage. But
Mm.
it was that initial damage that cost them the fight.
And that's where
Oh
they
yeah,
lost
I
their
remember
one
now.
wheel.
Yeah, they lost their wheel. Witch
They
Doctor
lost their
just
wheel
completely.
in that first hit. Yes.
Yeah, I will say this. This was like, you can't just up and destroy a bot. It's a very luck-based thing, surprisingly.
Surprisingly.
When I watched the slow-mo replay, I realized just how unlucky Sawblaze was. They take a hit, the grinder is fixed, so the bot, jhatka padta hai, as we
Yeah.
say in Urdu. All right, it rebounds, it flies back, and every time they would land, like Witch Doctor managed to hit Sawblaze's wheel 3 times
Yeah.
in a row in
Mm.
one attack, like bang, bang, bang. It's the same wheel. That's why that wheel comes off. And once your wheel comes off, especially if your robot only has 2 wheels, it's
Yeah.
over.
And especially the exposed wheel design. Also, the other side of the wheel was pretty banged up by the end of the fight. And then when the bot caught fire, that's it. You're done. You're out.
Oh yeah, that was
So that was a straight up KO. And
actually.
at that point,
I
Witch
can't
Doctor
believe
knew.
I forgot the biggest. I can't believe I forgot the biggest spectacle of the entire tournament. I should say,
Roast
a
bot.
bot catching fire.
Uh,
I'm sorry, I'm tired. But yeah, that fight was over way too fast. I kind of felt bad for Sawblaze, but they were good sports about it.
Definitely, and it's a good design. They've done this in the past, but then one unlucky shot. That's it. Mismatch
Yep.
with timing. The floor
Unluckily
is
getting
uneven.
stuck, right? Unluckily getting stuck for just
Yeah.
0.5 seconds, or
Yeah.
maybe even less than that.
Yeah.
It was just a little, oh shit, I'm stuck. Okay, I'm moving again, but
Yeah.
they were already on the side.
Precious
Then,
milliseconds.
yes. Moving on to the final fight. I just noticed a note. Can I read my note?
Yeah, go on.
Here is what I wrote down, because at this point I was getting annoyed. I
Mhm.
want Mubarak to pay me $5 for every time they said for the giant nut
Bro, I don't have
in
that
this
much money.
video.
I don't even have the
Exactly.
$5 you want.
Whoever came up with this tournament, I need to talk to them. I need to ask them, like, of all the things you could have chosen for a robot fighting tournament as a trophy, why was it the nut specifically?
Hey, if I
A
tell you
giant nut.
if I tell you what the other trophy is, you'll be annoyed at me as well. It's a giant bolt that fits in that nut.
I'm sorry, that biology don't exist in this universe, Mubarak.
No,
This
but they
isn't
actually do have
multiverse
a
of
trophy.
madness.
They do have that trophy. I'll show you afterwards.
Are you serious? There's a giant bolt tattoo.
I'll post a picture. Here.
Why? Why? Why
I
can't it be a model of Wally or something else? Why does it have to be a nut? I don't have a problem with the physical thing.
Mm.
All right, it is a giant nut bolt wala nut. But it's just that every time the commentator says the giant nut. Oh boy. And also, Farouk. Farouk just goes wild. Farouk. Yes, exactly. Oh my God. I'm sitting there for 30 minutes listening to his rhyme. He tells it like it's a story. Oh my God. Get this guy a narration job for documentaries on Nat Geo or something, all right?
Mm-hmm.
He is good.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the fight. We don't want to spend too much time talking about this.
Yeah, and we come to the main event, which is Witch Doctor versus Tantrum. Witch Doctor has been in the final fight before, last year, I believe, where they lost to Endgame. But this is Tantrum's first time making it this far. And with the new captains, this was an interesting season for them. They were very strategic, like Amr said. They have a strategy, they have a plan, they stick to that plan, which involves circling around. Unfortunately, this fight started off with Witch Doctor doing the same thing, so they're just going around in circles. And I'm like, I didn't know we were in
I
Tokyo
will.
Drift.
No, so here's the thing. I understand that everybody expects it to be like. I kind of like this. You
Mhm.
see, this is the kind of fight where the person who gets the first hit, all right, has a significant advantage. They can follow up more and more because every time you get a hit, you do chip damage. There is one thing. All the other bots, not all of them, like most of them, a lot of bots relied on that one hit strategy,
Mhm.
right? That one punch knockout. These two competitors were not the one punch knockout competitors, in my opinion. Both Witch Doctor and Tantrum, especially Tantrum, were death by 1,000 cuts wala
Yeah.
strategy, all right? That's what made this fight interesting. The finals was the only reason the final is not on my top favorite fight sort of for this tournament is because the semi Hydra versus Tantrum and Minotaur versus Witch Doctor in the quarters, those were just out of the world. He got because of circumstances. But to say the final was not interesting, it was fun to watch because
It is.
I'm at the edge of my seat
Hmm.
watching like who's gonna get the first hit, who is gonna get this. It was very interesting, and as I have written in my note, it was like an honorable duel,
Mm.
right? It was over with just one gentle hit. One hit, the one who got the first hit
Yeah.
was Tantrum. They managed to get one, and in that one hit, they bent the underbelly armor of
Witch Doctor.
Witch Doctor. They were up on. They kind of lost one wheel in a sense,
Yeah.
which is a death sentence.
Which is
They
death
lost
sentence.
maneuverability. They also have a drag now on the bottom of their robot.
Mhm.
That is very dangerous when you're going up against an opponent that plays by not attacking you head on, but finding your weak points all around you. It was a interesting fight, I will
Definitely.
say. One of the most interesting fights. It took a long time as well, but
Mhm.
I enjoyed it.
And this fight almost went the full 3 minutes. Like the by the time they were doing the countdown, it was only a few seconds left on the clock. And then the best part
Yeah.
of it was like when Tantrum knew they won, the arms came up. Celebration.
Yeah, that
I'm like,
robot,
I'm like,
that robot,
yeah.
they made that robot to win this tournament.
Mm,
Those arms,
those arms,
those
definitely.
arms with those eyes in the front,
Yeah, yeah. It was
the angry eyes.
beautiful fight. Like not beautiful fight, but it was a good fight. I felt like it was a little weak because usually we have fights that just rip apart. I've seen robots get ripped in half.
Oh yeah,
Like-
I saw some of the recaps.
Like wow, they have done damage. But
Yeah,
decent finale. Little weak on my end, but Amr enjoyed this. So I'm actually happy that you enjoyed Battlebots. This is your first time watching. Last year we had JD. Next year I'll try to get another engineer on board. Let's see. Yeah. But
let's wrap it up. Like
definitely.
I'm
Closing
my
thoughts,
last
please.
note for this.
Mhm.
Yeah, when they hand her the giant nut trophy, the conversation and dialogue that happens. What are you looking at? And it's one of the staff of the organizers holding the giant nut,
Mhm.
and she's looking at it. She's like, it's the giant nut. And then the commentator goes like, "Do you want to hold the giant nut?" And at that point, I just wanted to take my headphones off and throw it against the wall. Like, why? Yeah, why? Why?
They were
Why?
excited.
Very, very,
Very
very
excited. Come on.
enjoyable tournament. I did not expect this much passion from the commentator and this many rhymes from the announcer. Like they made this tournament enjoyable. Not that the teams were bad, but it's like
Mhm.
the presentation is important too of the tournament, the hype.
Yes,
And
definitely.
boy, did they find some people who could hype people up.
Definitely.
Very good.
Mhm. Anyways, I guess that's it from us. Thank you all for watching. And we would definitely recommend BattleBots, at least I would. recommend Battlebots, available on Discovery Plus, and check it out if you can. Fun fights, really good fights, and if you can't watch it there, watch it on YouTube because they do individual fights. Fantastic, you know, old fights, new fights, they're really good stuff. Anyways, thank you all. We'll see you next time. Be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that bell icon too, you know, if you're on YouTube. And then while you're there, just go watch some Battlebots.
Look at me, how sleepy I am. This week has been very
I'll get you a Battlebot.
tiring.
You know what? I'll
Thank you.
I'll get you like a car, and then I'll just tape a grinder onto it. How's that, huh?
You know what? No, I have a better idea. Given how much torture you've given me, I'm thinking we go to bumper cars. And we do
With the grinder in
Battlebots
front?
in real life.
With the grinder in the
Exactly.
front.
I'm gonna hook up a grinder on a bumper car and ram you with it. Oh, all right.
Anyways, I
Thank
guess
you,
this
everyone.
is us. Bye.
Bye bye.